Mama's embrace, where the door's always open, where love has its place. We're family. We don't always agree, but we come back together. That's how it should be. Bring your cup of coffee or your favorite tea. Get ready for a chat. Let's share our dreams. With my hubby Richard and baby Sister Ned May, Sister Deborah by my side. It's a beautiful day. Official Jamie, a Scratch and Pete. We're never apart. Trish the Natural and Geeky Girl Journal, close to my heart. We're family. We don't always agree, but we come back together. That's how it should be. Bring your cup of coffee or your favorite tea. Get ready for a chat. Let's share our dreams. With Juba Chatterley from the UK, our family circle grows stronger every day. We laugh, we love, we sometimes disagree, but in this family we find unity. We're family. We don't always agree, but we come back together. That's how it should be. Or bring your cup of coffee or your favorite tea. Get ready for a chat. Let's share our I am Betty J. Gathers. Welcome to my home. In this loving family, you'll never be
Wow, welcome. You just filling up that chat with all your people, with our family. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, is that me? Can y'all hear Kevin? Or is that
No,
me?
that's my microphone. I'm sorry. I turned it off so you
okay,
didn't hear me.
okay.
So I was singing along to the song there for
I-
official Jamia and Geeky Girls Journal and Pete, of course.
Yeah, you're going to have to help me keep up with everybody today because I'm sure a lot going to float in here. And thank you for gifting us 5 new members. Who got it? Do you see who got the
Oh,
number?
there's a handful. Yeah, Rockin' the Truth, Sam's Vlogs, Train Some More, Carnival Cruise Addicts, Fred Franklin, and TMKC.
Okay, all right. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me here. I haven't done any of these for a long time. I thought this year I'd get a chance to do a lot of StreamYard panels and just hang out and relax and have a conversation. And, you know, today's easy because Betty and I, we've known each other 4 years already.
Yeah.
We're around there anyway.
Yeah, 4 years. I'm looking for, there's Kristen, your sweetheart, Joshua Bud Fowles, Backyard Backlash, know him very well. And Bud Files is here. Trish, thanks so much. I was looking for Scratch and P. Where he at?
There he is. He just came in. Yeah.
Yeah, because I need him here. Okay, John Paul, thank you.
And thank you, Trish the Natural. So Kristen did that. Kristen puts the tree together. Unfortunately, I'm never home as much as I wish. I've just had an overwhelming couple of weeks, but she loves Christmas. And I do too, but she loves Christmas. And because we have our Thanksgiving in October, we, right after, let's say, Remembrance Day or Veterans Day, can get right into Christmas. We don't have to wait for Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah. But y'all, most everybody that's coming in here, y'all know Tuba Chat, Kevin. We're going to get to know him a little bit better today. And we're going to hit on a lot of things today.
My shameless plug there, yeah.
And I thank each and every one of y'all for being here. I thank you so much on this Sunday. And Crystal Sparkle Crystal, she challenged me to have 12 different people to interview this month. So that's
a good handful.
12 days of Christmas.
I was happy to catch her talking to you the other day as well. So she hopped right in on the
oh my God. I was so grateful for that. I'm sure she knows. I was just so grateful that she did that for me. Just hop right in. But first I wanted to start off with this because I got too many questions. I told Kevin, I am nervous. Trish, this is the first time I've been nervous, girl, after 300.
That is impossible. It's impossible.
Yes, I was. 300.
When I often talk with our Tuber Chat family about a dynamic personality, Betty J. Gathers is an example. She is like the textbook example that we have of what a dynamic personality is. Always confident, always smiling, always laughing, but yet still able to keep up with everything. So
Thank you. But you know what's nice too, to piggyback off of that is with the personality, I am so happy that even I could speak in front of 1 million people and not be nervous.
I hope you invite me along if you do.
Oh, I'm going to invite you along. I already told you, I get big, you're going with me. I always tell Kevin this. Somebody in this thing is going to get really big and they're going to take him. Watch. It's going to happen. They're going to take you. Watch. I bet you. Because it's so hard to find people on here you really trust and you feel good about.
It takes a while. Yeah, it does. But I was very lucky when, like, even starting the Tuber Chat family and audience that I had, I'm glad I was right when I had seen so much generosity. And it's a tiny of the percentage of YouTubers that are out there or viewers and things like that. But that's all we needed. There's whatever it is, 2 billion people on YouTube every month or something like that. We only need like 1/100th of a percent.
100%.
I'm just glad all of us could find each other,
Oh God. But first I want to say, this is what I even got it written in big, everything else small. I say, first, I want to know about you, Kevin, but I'm sorry you're not the bigger one. It is Scratchin' Pete. Who is Scratchin' Pete, Kevin?
I'd love to say it's my alter ego, but I can't do anything in my life but look at the sky and thank God every day to have that kind of a friend, somebody who seems to share so much of the same idea behind the generosity that I talk about all the time, the true caring for others more so than themselves. I mean, what a godsend. You can't ask for that. How can you ask God to have somebody support you 700 times or more? But he's there for every single thing I do on every channel that I touch. And the same goes for a lot of people in the community. So if anybody hasn't already connected with Scratchin' Pete PA, this is who we're talking about. And he even contemplated what he was going to do on his channel before he did it. Just because I was lucky to know him as PA before he changed his name to Scratchin' Pete PA. And he puts an interesting twist on lottery ticket scratching, which is a really huge genre. And you'll meet a lot of friends over at his channel too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I always say, where does he come from? What planet? Because he everywhere.
It
He
seems
is
to be.
everywhere. But thanks again, everybody, for coming in. And Kevin, what did you do before YouTube? I know you still work, but what is
Yeah, so anybody might think that I'm a workaholic, but that's not exactly the case. I do love to work. I'm lucky to be able to and everything else, but I just have been lucky enough to enjoy most of what I've done. When I was really young, I started working when I was really, really young, like shoveling driveways and cutting grass and things like that. And right away, I wanted to have more money, so I do a lot of that. Took part-time jobs. I've almost never had more than less than 2 jobs at a time, but that's only because, like I said, I like what I do so much. So around the age of 18, 19 years old, I became a DJ. And I was just in the right place in the right time in Toronto, where I was born, raised, grew up, and continue to work. There was no top 40 radio station that was playing purely what you would hear on a dance floor on Saturday night at a nightclub or a bar or anything like that. And along came a couple of radio stations. One was not here very long, and I ended up working at a brand new one called Z103. It changed names a few times over the years, but a lot of nightclub stuff, a lot of radio stuff. I ended up working on a radio show that was hosted by Akon for a few years. And that was fun. And I did a lot of work while I was there, involved in music, and even came out with a handful of CDs that were, there's probably 500,000 in sales total. And that was really fun. But I'd also work in nightclubs. I also would do a lot of websites and things like that. I was fascinated by the internet. The second I heard about the internet and was able to have it at home, I was the one who bought the modem for our family computer so that I could get on CompuServe and AOL after, so that I could get started. And I was mesmerized, up early every morning onto the internet. Because you had to, back in the days of AOL and CompuServe, you had to get the computer on and then go get your breakfast and then come back and then flip the page and then go brush your teeth and then come back and flip another page. It took that long, right? It would drive anybody today into a frenzy. But that led to a lot of enthusiasm for social media. So I've always been involved. I've always run social media profiles. A lot of the other work I did, like bringing people to the nightclubs, came through social media networks like MySpace and eventually Facebook and this and that.
Yeah.
Now we have so many, it's tough to keep up, but that continues today. So that's a almost quick elevator speech about what I've done that led up to what we're doing now and why I ended up landing on YouTube.
Yeah. Now I know you have 3 different channels. You have your personal channel. So what is the personal channel about?
That's just really, I like to say it's for experimentation. But I do treat it like a channel. I'm always behind on it all the time. Tuber Chat is number 1 for me. And then I work on that. And basically, it's to experiment with ideas or put things up that I think people might be interested in. One of the things I thought before I started making YouTube videos was eventually I'm either going to be teaching the stuff or I'm going to be doing a lot of tech product reviews because they're so popular. But my idea, very similar to Tuber Chat, in sticking with beginners in their YouTube journey. You notice we never go after the 100,000s. We never go after the millions. So I stay in my lane, and that's what makes it continue to work and grow and not deviating from that path, let's say. When I do product reviews on my personal channel, I tend to do affordable things. Even when we start to get into things that are expensive, like an Xbox, it's the least expensive one of those, right? Never really elaborate stuff. My interest is not to try to grow so that people will send me $10,000 cameras and everything like that. That to me is like swimming in a shark pit. Why would I go up against Sean Cannell and Daryl Eves and Roberto Blake and Nick Nimmin and all those guys? They've already locked all that in. Really hard to break into the top 10. every person who wants to do the things that I'm going to do are always going to want to grow, always going to want to pass and do things that they feel are better, let's just say. But that's not the case all the time, you
Oh,
know? So I'll tell you the lesson, if you want to spend just another second on
yeah,
it.
go ahead. No.
That comes along from life that led me to that. When I used to work in nightclubs and stuff, I've promoted my share of parties. So you rent out a nightclub, you do a party, you take a cover charge, and hopefully make money or lose your shirt. And I've done both, right? But one of the things I would do is a lot of all ages parties, we call them, or in the United States, they call them 18 to party, 21 to drink, or even underage parties. Like, so for the teenagers, we rent out a nightclub, let them have a night in the nightclub. Anybody would come and say, why don't you guys start selling alcohol? Think about the money you would make. Start going for an older crowd. And the idea is, why would I do that much more work for what now is going to be less money? Because when you're selling things like alcohol or anything else, there's a cost associated.
Yeah.
The parties that I run, people pay $20, they get in the door. That's the end of it. There's a DJ. There's barely any expenses. So this relates to the idea behind Tuber Chat. Why would I start another channel for 100,000 subscribers, start another channel for 1 million subscribers, and this and that? It's a shark pit that lots of other people are going to aim for that. Nobody's going to want to stay where we are. So that's why it's so strong and solid. So I just wanted to relate that story because it's an idea.
Okay, I love the stories. Your backstories you always give. There's always tidbits in there. Yeah. Then you have the music channel, non-copyright.
That's right.
Yeah, and you used to invite us over there a lot one time.
Yeah, so that's kind of sitting there right now. It's very expensive to keep that thing going because you got to either be running it 24 hours a day on a reliable internet connection.
Okay.
Which is tough to have at home. Or like I was renting a cloud service for a while. That's like $100 a month to keep that thing going. Yeah. Right. And the problem is it was never meant to be a moneymaker. It was meant to be a value add for the Tuber Chat family for two reasons. One, like, it just kind of expands on what we're doing in a very, I don't want to use the word typical, expected way, right? But at the same time, it just gives us something that we can have leading into the future. All that music's published on all the major music platforms. And I like to try stuff too. I was involved in music forever. And now I have almost what you could call a label. But it really wasn't meant to be a moneymaker at all. Okay. Tuber Chat itself, that channel is meant to be an engine that runs so that we, meaning you and me and everybody we care about, can start as many channels as we want and make them go fast. That's really all it is. So the copyright-free music was meant to help with that. Yeah. And because of the expense, at some point, you gotta, you have to say like, okay, we tried something. It seems to be doing, well. People enjoy hanging out and being there, and the music is just of one type, so that's tough too. But it's not meant to expand. It's not like, oh, how can I make 10 grand a month off this channel? It's not going to happen. It's just, what I mean? So it wasn't meant in that way. What I will do with it after, I'm unsure, but the live streams were meant to get the channel to a position of monetization. And then perhaps we'll run smaller live streams here and there. I've considered the idea of doing, like 1 or 2 hour live streams after Tuber Chat so that we can kind of extend it, but I don't have to worry about my voice. I'll be on for 3 hours, right? But everybody can continue what they're doing. At the same time, I don't want to be on 24 hours a day because there's the tiny bit of thought that you're taking away from your friends at the same time. You know what I mean? If people are like making a point, not everybody can be in more than one live stream or premiere at a time.
Yeah.
So if I'm on, there are people who will come to me, but there are people who need those viewers more. I'll be fine. You know what I mean? I'm established now. So.
Okay. That brings up one thing. I was going to talk about that later. Co-streaming. People don't seem to be doing it as much as they used to.
I think you're right. It might just be that the feature was so well received when it came out. That was a godsend in itself. You and I have been around long enough to know that you used to have to go live on one person's channel You could not do that broadcast out to your own. Now you can have 10 people doing it. Everybody's getting watch hours because there are some people who can watch more than one at a time. Pete, we figure at least has 4 windows going at a time, like I do. He
I
might have
know.
more. You could do 8. You could do 6 or 8. I don't know. It's tough to keep up with, but you can give those watch hours to people, right? And people have different devices and things like that. So that has really sped up, along with a couple of other things, how fast channels are getting monetized, right? It's faster than ever before. It doesn't feel like it to somebody who's just started and on the way to being monetized, but I promise you it's faster today for everybody than it was 7 years ago when I started.
But if somebody's working on monetization and someone else is co-streaming out, is that gonna mess up their watch hours? I guess that's what I'm saying.
Well, what I would say is, like, we hope everybody wishes for the greater good then, right? The idea of sharing. I would say, everybody wants to get monetized as fast as they could. And if you could have 10 people, let's say, in your live stream, that would be wonderful. Your watch hours would grow quickly. But if somebody else was going to go live with you, and now you're going to lose a few viewers, like, you're going to drop down to 6 or 7. They're also going to get 6 or 7 because some of the people are watching both. Would you be willing to trade time, and say, like, well, I don't care if I get monetized in 8 months instead of a year because I want to help them get monetized in 8 months. I want us to come up together. That could be a mentality that somebody could think of. And some of it has to do with confidence, right? Being around communities like ours can help people understand you are going to get monetized. We want you to. We will help you. And if people can have the confidence to know that that's going to happen, they don't have to worry about time so much. And I've been lucky. Like I said, I work and I've been able to work. I've had work available and this and that. So I'm not going to live or die by YouTube, but I understand how much $20 a month, $50 a month, or $100 a month can really change somebody's life. You're talking about an entire bill payment, or, our cell phones are expensive. That could cover a cell phone. It could cover your phone bills, water bills, electric bills, like something, anything, so we need every penny we can get these days, right? That goes for everyone, I think.
I know it's a girl. This was something new I just heard. She has a big channel and she woke up one morning and they had demonetized her channel.
Yeah.
And the reason being because the guidelines had changed.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
fine before. And she got like millions and millions of views, she keep getting views, and she was demonetized because the guidelines. I never thought about that.
Yeah, that's the first time I'm hearing a story like that. But it makes perfect sense the way that you put it, because YouTube changes things frequently, more frequently than ever. We know that, but they're never clear, never, ever, ever clear about what is right and what is wrong. And, that really, I got one channel right now that's struggling because they can't get monetized and YouTube won't tell them why. They're like, well, you got to look at the guidelines. It's like, yeah, but if you could tell me what the problem is, I would be willing to fix it and make content that you want me to make. But it doesn't work that way for everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not everybody uses their powers for good on YouTube, and so they by not being clear, they can prevent some people, bad actors, let's say, from getting monetized. There's still scams on YouTube every day. I get very disappointed. I was whining and complaining about that yesterday. Some of the stuff that continues to go on, but they're never clear about the guidelines and the terms of service.
But that kind of like gonna stick in the back of my mind. Now you do something, you could just wake up one morning, your whole channel's gone.
That's awful. And we've seen it before. I remember seeing a big YouTuber. I'll never remember her name now. And she'd made a video. Oh, YouTube made a mistake and now my channel's gone. They can't do anything about it. But I will tell you this, and I don't want to throw YouTube under the bus in this way. However, I did have a situation on a channel that I run, not mine, where a video was deleted and myself and the owner did not delete it. It's the most important video on the channel at the time. There's no way we deleted it and made that mistake. YouTube said, sorry, there's nothing we could do. There's nothing we could do. There's nothing we could do. Went back and forth over and over and over again. And eventually they put the video back up. And it's like, oh, but you said it's impossible. We can never bring back a video if it's been deleted. But you did. I was there. So it's interesting how not everything is 100% true either, all the time.
Yeah. We talked about your other 2 channels, but then came Tuber Chat. How did that started where you thought about helping, other YouTubers? How did that all get started?
So that I'd already been on YouTube for a couple of years. When I started by running somebody else's channel. I continue to run that channel today, and that creator now has a few more. I took on a few others in the first couple of years, but I let them go, and not for any real reason at the time. But now that we're a little bit older, now that I've I've got a little bit more experience, I realize it's because I didn't want to just run channels for people. So if somebody said, "Can I just pay you to do it?" That's really not fun for me. Having somebody involved to bounce ideas off and make it different than I would have done myself makes it more challenging, more fun, maybe something like that. Anyway, so after a couple of years, after the first year, I started my own channel. After a little while, I was introduced to a handful of creators like Elevate with Vern, who you know well, and then the Hoops Family Network really got it started, and Jeremy D-Day, who's in the chat right now, and a few other people. And they were it felt, I say this all the time, feels like a college party where you get some outgoing girl that just grabs everybody and says, come with me. I'm going to introduce you to everybody. You're going to know everybody today. Everybody supports everybody. Everybody has fun. And I couldn't believe it. Never before in my life have I seen anywhere where people help each other so much. You know what I mean? Outside of, I don't know, a charity or a church or something like that. But online especially, I'd never witnessed something like this before. And I said, this is amazing. There was lots of growth streams that were already out there before I started. Happy Lux was already established. James Gype was established. And Commander Vlogs was already established, and many others. But I said, okay, guys, I'm going to do another channel just like yours, but I'll add my own, thing to it. And they didn't say, don't do it. Don't copy us. Go find your own thing. Stay in your lane and all that stuff. They said, we'll help you build it. And they did. And to this day, most of them are still coming through, right? And I was just kind of amazed. I couldn't believe it. So now we've got this other community, Tuber Chat as a channel and as a family, now over 5,500 subscribers, right? Where these are all people willing to help each other, because nobody in Tuber Chat stays if they don't have the same mentality we do. That's why I use the language that I do. I say the word generosity all the time. I frequently go back to what I like to think is the golden rule. We give much more to others than we expect to receive. By wording things that way, it will turn away the people who don't share that view. And we've seen a bit of that. Not everybody stays in Tuber Chat. They come in, they try it a little bit, they don't like it, and they leave, right? Which is okay. I only want everybody to get what they want out of YouTube, whatever that is. That goes for everyone, right? But some of us are going to be aligned in our mentality and literally want to see each other succeed and know that we get more success by helping others. That goes to show. You look at I Am Betty J Gathers, you look at Scratch and PPA, you look at myself, you look at most of the channels in the chat, probably everybody in the chat. I haven't seen somebody in the chat yet. I'm not doing a good job of keeping up. But I think every person in the chat, first of all, I know every channel. Secondly, every one of these channels helps other people and is willing to allow people to help themselves within their channel, streams, or communities, right? So yeah, it's out there. Like I said, thank God we all are able to find each other. But the Tuber Chat channel just makes it easier. And I've been on social media long enough to know, like, this, it's a gamble when you start a channel. But I figured I would probably be right about, there is an abundant number of people who are generous in that way. Luckily, it's true. You know what I mean? So it continues to grow today. But I don't chase subscribers and things. I'm not trying to get it to 100,000. I doubt it'll ever get there. The idea is to keep it doing what it's doing so that we can start other channels. Anybody can.
Mhm.
And then we can make those go to 100,000 if we want.
Okay. Now, this is one amazing thing I see. You could pop up at any time.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And the people, they will come.
No, that's true. Yes.
They
Yeah.
will come. Why the different hours?
So the biggest reason for that, first of all, I am lucky enough to be able to work full time, so I do. And that work is unpredictable. I do some construction work. So I do concrete and asphalt, paint lines into parking lots, epoxy floors, and horrible things I wouldn't wish on anybody. But construction pays, right? So life's not
Mhm.
terrible, let's say. So I continue to do that. But sometimes we can have a day where we're only out for a couple of hours. And sometimes we have a day where it just doesn't seem to end. We've been out until all hours of the day. So because of that, I can't predict. Plus, what things are going to go wrong when we can do a stream. When we were only doing it for an hour and a half or 2 hours, I was able to say, okay, we'll do this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But then I started losing my voice sometimes. I started getting sick, and not just for a week. It'd be like 2 weeks. Once I lost my voice, I thought it was like for 5 weeks or something, whatever it was. And I was like, I got to do something about this.
Mhm.
We want Tuber Chat to continue to grow, but I'm never going to be able to do 7 hours. So we got to put a cap on it sometime. So we close it down to 3 hours now, and I play a lot of pre-recorded stuff so that I can save my voice. Otherwise, it would be 2.5 hours. That seems to be my maximum. So
Mhm.
between my work, but plus family obligations, at my age, I'm lucky enough to have both of my parents still alive. Up until recently, they have needed a increasing amount of help from me and my family, who are all supportive and
Mhm.
giving, and I'm very lucky in that way too. They are, as of right now, needing my help a little bit less. They're still with us, but
Mhm.
they're where they need to be. They've got everything that they need. We don't have to worry, and I get to just be a friend and a son
Mhm.
and a visitor to them now. So that means that my time is going to open up a little bit more, but I still have other family obligations. When I do construction work, it's usually around Toronto, but I live in
Mhm.
Niagara Falls. Those cities are an hour
Mhm.
and a half away from each other or close to it. So this results in me being, Tuber Chat comes after family first, Tuber Chat pretty much next. My full-time job might sit somewhere around there, let's just say. And then, we're all busy. Everybody's got a million things to do all the time. So, just juggling that stuff. If it came to a situation where Tuber Chat started to decline, then I would change things again. I would say, no, we need to schedule and we'll get it back going. But the community now is so strong and solid, and it's been
Solid.
years. Yeah, every stream will have somebody who hasn't been there in 3 years and somebody who's brand new today. And as long as that continues, I just watch. I'm really love analytics and numbers. So I'm constantly thinking in my mind about how did today's stream go? How has it gone for the last week? How's it gone for the last month? And I keep spreadsheets for everything. I keep statistics for every single stream. I know who's there. I know how long they're there. I know when our streams drop to 75 people. I know when they're up to 100. There's never 100 at a time, but 100 coming through. We
Yeah,
got up to
coming
like
through.
100. It was 110, 120 for a while there. I
Mhm.
can't seem to get it back, but it's actually okay where it is right now. We get enough channels on the screen that not too many people seem to be, too aggravated about it. We can't get to everybody every day, but there are a lot of times still when at the end of the stream, I'll get through like, 5 or 6 or
Mhm.
7 new channels that we haven't seen, or somebody we haven't seen in
Mhm.
a long time.
Mhm. I hear a lot of people say that. I even hear Trish say that when I came to Tuba Chat at first, I just was lost. Even Trish says the same thing. And it was like, I went to other people, but it was like, this just isn't what I'm looking for. And I'm
Right.
sure they come to Tuba Chat and, say the same thing too. And it was just amazing. I can't remember how I even found you, but I remember how I contacted you though through email. And I
Okay.
came in on a Friday, and that chat was, everybody was always say when they first come in, it scares them because that chat was flying, and you really don't know what to do. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But I was one of the ones that that joined the first day when I
Oh,
came in. Is that a rarity? Somebody joined the first day
are
when
you
they
talking about a membership?
membership.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, no, that's rare. Yeah, very rare. Um, it actually seems, now that you mention it, it seems to be happening more frequently lately. Like over the last month or two, we've had a
Mhm.
few people who've come in and got a membership on that day. But
Uh-huh.
I also understand that things have changed, and even I get a little bit complacent. So I forget sometimes that there are brand new people listening for the first time that haven't heard the speech about watching a 3-minute video, leaving a
Mhm.
comment, and all that stuff, because I just don't say it as often today. And I plan to get back to a place of that, to make people a little less intimidated, if that's the way they're feeling when they first get there, to say, listen, if you're here and the chat is moving fast, don't worry. Everybody's here to support you, but you don't have to connect to everybody all in one day. That's not how this works. Pick one person. Erie Frog's in the house now. Say hello to Erie Frog or Annette Gray and say, hey, how are you doing? That's all you need.
Yeah.
They will carry it from there. Anybody who's been in Tuber Chat more than once will
Mhm.
start to lead the conversation. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? We're all conditioning each other to be better at all of this, make
Mhm.
people feel welcome, and things like that. The moderators help with that as well, of course, right? I miss a lot of stuff that goes on in the chat, especially
Mhm.
when it's rolling really fast. But thank goodness for our moderators and our so not everybody can be there every day, and I understand that, but there are a lot of people who are there either every day or frequently, and
Mhm.
they also do that kind of thing. They make everybody feel welcome. That itself is a godsend in a live stream. You know what I mean? It's the
Mhm.
most disappointing thing to think that we work so hard on our channels, especially when we truly have good intentions and want
Mhm.
people to feel welcome, and to think that somebody would just take off and never come back just because they weren't welcomed into a chat because the
Yeah.
host was, let's say, too busy, right?
I know, I know. That gets hard because I know I did that the other day, and then after I got off, I said, "Oh my God, I missed all these, these chats."
Mhm.
And it does happen, but you want everybody to really feel welcome. And I know I used to stay for hours, but it wasn't 3 hours. It was maybe two.
Mhm.
When I used to, when 4 years ago, it used to be two, but I stayed the whole time. And I remember thumbs up, thumbs up. I got so crazy. I'm gonna tell y'all a little secret. I got so crazy
Mhm.
with thumbs up. Kevin had to come and slap my hand a little bit.
Yeah.
And he came over to Instagram and said, "Better slow up on the thumbs up."
Less
Hey,
thumbs up,
God,
less.
because I wanted that 100
That's so funny. Yeah.
that's what I wanted, 100 every time I came in. I want 100 thumbs up. I'm gonna leave without that. But I just thought that was hilarious when I seen that come. I said, "Oh, I done
Yeah,
got
that's funny.
slapped on the
Oh
hands."
goodness, yeah.
Another thing too, being like a little OG, is used to go offline a lot too.
Hey. What? I didn't understand what you said. I used to go
You go
where?
offline, go off
Oh,
yeah, we used to lose you quite a bit.
that yeah. There was a time I was getting so angry. Were you there the day when I slipped and said something I shouldn't have said?
Uh,
There,
Probably
there was
not.
a
You
day.
probably
So I
didn't.
always keep Instagram open, right? And I've got
Okay.
what I do is I keep it open so that if somebody needs to
Yeah.
contact me, even right now, if somebody said like, "Oh, Kevin, something's wrong," you need to look at this, I can glance over and see. And the moderators will always be trying to help. And even if they have to just say something on Instagram, they'll mention, like you're offline or something. Now, the problem with that is that when we hear that something's gone wrong, we can panic very quickly, much faster than if somebody said something looks great, we just,
Mhm.
it's okay, whatever. But I thought for sure that we'd lost the internet connection. And at the top of my lungs, I yelled a sentence that nobody should be yelling and I was lucky because I'm quick enough to be able to like go back into the stream, make it unlisted, and then cut that piece out afterwards. So it's almost like it never happened, right? Because I just don't want to, we try to put our best foot forward when we're online. Not everybody has to speak the way everybody else does. There's no right or wrong in that, but especially when we're on Tuber Chat, I try not to sway from, it doesn't have to be a professional presentation, but I just don't want to go too far with the cuss words and the, other
Yeah.
things we could
Yeah.
accidentally do, right? But yeah, we were losing it for a while. And this, I'll tell you a little story about what I'd like to think is perseverance or tenacity. Is
Mhm.
when I started doing a lot of outdoor live streaming in Niagara Falls
Oh,
many
yeah.
years ago. I
Mhm.
just couldn't get the streams to stay. Everything I tried, different cell phones, different plans, tethering here and there, using the city's internet, and they were just cutting off and cutting off. And I swear, I looked at the sky, I said, God, I am not stopping until this works. You can shut them down 100 times. And it had to be 10. I'm sure
Mhm.
you were there for some of them.
Mhm.
Kristen would have been there.
Yeah.
Scratch and PPA was probably there for
Mhm.
everyone. And eventually it just worked. And I don't remember when. I don't remember when the headache stopped, but the
Mhm.
internet connection is just problems with, sometimes you call your internet provider and you say, like, the internet's giving me a problem. And I don't know if it's that people don't want to do the job that they have, or like that they just don't want to understand, or what it is. But when you say, like, no, something is wrong and I need it fixed, I think the cables are destroyed. Something is not right here. And they just won't fix it until you got to have them come out. I don't know how many times. And I've been through this in both places, both at home, both at work. The only place I didn't have that problem was at my office. We only lost the internet one time over there. But this is the world we live in, right? The internet is just not perfect. It can't be. And yeah, it used to happen much more, and I used to get really, really upset. But
And we
it's
would be waiting around, and I'd go over to Instagram. Pete, where he at? He coming back? And then he'll tell us if you're coming back or not. It's like, okay.
So that's why, as soon as it started happening, that's why I made kind of a rule for
Yeah.
myself. And I said, if the
Yeah.
internet cuts out in the first hour and a half, we'll restart one time, never
Yeah.
more than
Yeah.
once. Because I don't want people to have to sit around and wait. They could be supporting other creators. The channel's not going to die just because we had a few streams blow out from the internet. We'll be back on Saturday, or we'll be back on Tuesday. Everything will be fine, right? And it's so aggravating. We tend, I'm sure, a lot of people to get caught up with the things that go wrong. I don't like mistakes. I can be as hard on myself as everybody else. We blame ourselves for things that are out of our control. Like, well, I should have had better internet, and I should be an internet technician or something, that kind of thing. But it all ends up working out. Everybody who wants to continue, everybody who wants to get monetized, everybody who wants to have a successful channel, whatever that means to them, eventually does, or at least can,
I want to say too, I learned so much from you and other people in the chat, but I learned that you give people a lot of grace. That they may not just know YouTube etiquette,
Right.
And I like that, because somebody was saying something in the chat one day and you were saying maybe they just don't know.
Oh, possibly. Yeah. I mean, I've had my share of trolls, and it luckily is at a minimum over at the Tuber Chat channel, but it happens. But otherwise, I try to remember, and I lose my patience sometimes, but I try to remember that not everybody has been through what we've been through. They haven't heard people like us saying things in the way that we do. Maybe I didn't tell somebody, you got to have this, you got to watch a 3-minute video, you got to do this, you got to not put 100 emojis in the chat. And I used to be a lot more strict about it. I used to think it mattered, right? Like, don't put numbers, don't put emojis. When I started to realize, no, it actually doesn't matter, that was wrong all along, I'm like, well, what are we supposed to do now? Because there are tens of thousands of YouTubers out there that are going to snap if somebody puts more than 3 emojis in their chat, right? So how can we truly help people until they're confident enough to know, oh, I get what he was doing, but no, I'm going to go ahead and put 4 or 5 emojis and it'll be fine. This guy's not going to fall. So in the meantime, we just try to instill the idea of proper etiquette for everybody, leading by example, let's say, more than anything else. I don't like to tell people what they should do. I don't want to sound like a teacher, because I got a lot to learn myself, and I'm in no position of authority. I happen to be the host of the channel, and that's it. And I've been corrected a million times too. But when you go to somebody else's channel who's not doing this 24 hours a day. It's not like their obsession is not YouTube. If you go into their chat and you drop a handful of emojis or put a bunch of numbers or, God forbid, a mathematical equation in the chat, you could get banned or timed out. And I know what that's like. I've had people ban me on channels just because of the name. They thought it was either a troll or a robot or something else, right? You can get trigger happy mods and everything else. So I understand it's not, they don't know you. You know, when you get into a chat, somebody times you out, somebody bans you, they don't know you, they're not looking up your address, they're not talking to your high school teachers to figure out what your problem is and all that. They're going to forget you in 5 minutes. But it feels terrible when it happens. You know what I mean? So I understand that everything's a bit of a learning opportunity. When something bad, when you get banned on a channel or timed out, you can say to yourself, instead of, wow, I'm so angry that this happened to me, you can say, wow, this is an awful feeling. I don't want anybody else to have this feeling, especially not on my channel. And then you can, discuss this with your mods and things like that and say, like, this is how we'll treat this, right? Because I tend to be way too strict. I've got the chat too tight. I'm sure we lose a couple people just because they try to, use a word that's in the banned words list. They feel like they're banned on the channel and they just never come back. I should loosen up on all that stuff, but it took me a while to start understanding everything's going to be okay. You don't have to take everything so seriously 24 hours a day, even when it sounds like it.
Well, you done made me like that. He made me like that. I'm strict on my chat. You did it. Yes, you did. Yeah. Self-promotion.
Yeah.
You know how people come in and they say, I always notice when somebody come to my chat and they just drop their channel name, don't say hi, don't say boo. I'm like, why did you come here?
The truth is, like, even when we talk about generosity, for you, for me, for everybody the same way, we really are thinking about our own channel. We really are thinking about ourselves. It takes conscious effort for some people. Somebody like myself takes conscious effort to think of others. The only reason that I do so much is that, my parents would tell me when I was a kid, I would run down to the laundry room right by a handful of laundry that I could have taken down to the laundry room, and I would just leave it there because, I'm 10 years old. What do I care, right? And then my parents would have to explain, there's other people in the house. Don't eat the last cookie in the box without telling somebody. Don't run by the laundry without taking it downstairs. You're going downstairs. You could have just, done it, right? And that's a tiny bit of it. But wanting to self-improve, wanting to truly be successful, led me to listening to a lot of audiobooks, reading a few books, but listening to a lot of audiobooks. And one of them I can attribute to for the rest of my life, called How to Win Friends and Influence People, where it tells you, like, listen, when you're having a conversation with somebody, let's say about travel, right? And they want to tell you the places they've been and the things they've done. Everybody is as disinterested in somebody else's vacation as everybody else. But you can learn. If it's not instinctive to you to care about other people's stories and other people's happiness and other people's vacations, you can learn. You could train yourself. You could say, somebody's talking about a cruise ship or a vacation right now, and I feel my mind wandering. Let me focus and care about what they're talking about right now. And, like anything else, it could take a little bit of practice. But I just imagine if somebody was to hear me talk in Tuber Chat, they would probably imagine I was religious or something, because they'd say, wow, this guy, all he talks about is generosity, caring about other people and everything like that. And I do, but I could see somebody looking at the 16, 17-year-old, 18-year-old me, listening to some of the dumb things I've done and horrible things I've said to people and saying, wow, he wasn't always like that. So it's a conscious effort that hopefully eventually becomes a part of a person's character or personality if they want it to. But that book really helps. There's other ones too, but that's really a life-changing, magical book that I, have in my mind sometimes when I think about that. So, that leads to the patience with people. That leads to understanding that everybody cares about their own stuff it doesn't mean that they don't care about anybody else's, but some people have to learn to do both at the same time, myself included. So that's why that happened. For some people, it's instinctive. We don't know. If you go through a lot of the people that you've met, I hear the names in your, theme song and this and that. Those people have obviously had impact on you. Perhaps they had it instinctively, you know what I mean? Where I believe I had to learn, but I continue that today. I think it's a better life, to care about other people. And when I was, I'll tell you another story. When I was so young, in school, but I don't remember what class it was. Teachers were talking about managers for whatever reason, right? And I mean managers of, let's say, artists, like Taylor Swift's manager or Lady Gaga's manager or something like that. And I understood, wow, okay, so a manager sometimes takes a cut of what the star or the artist is making. Well, all I have to do is find 10 people and make them millionaires, and I'll be a millionaire. That's the simplest thing. I don't remember how young I was when I came to that conclusion, but that, on top of all the other life lessons that go on, lead you to a place of saying, okay, if I help a lot of people achieve what they want, I can't help but achieve what I want. It's impossible not to,
I want to talk about moderators.
Yeah.
Moderators. I remember, honestly, I tell you about, I don't want to be no moderator. I remember I used to be, I want to be Kevin moderator. That's work, y'all.
It can be.
Yeah, but don't you think that people should ask you first? You don't think you should get asked first before you make someone a moderator?
In most cases, yeah. So I have 2 moderators that I did not ask first.
Oh, okay.
But I'll tell you what the reason is for that and why that became. But one of the stories I really love telling, actually, so I want to talk about that. So, yeah, the idea, like, yes, we should probably ask somebody, but lots of people, it depends on whether you actually want them to moderate or not. Lots of people give out the wrenches because they just want everybody to drop links and, this and that or whatever. It's not really about moderating. Like, most of the moderators are going to go quiet when a troll comes in, because you don't want backlash from that. You don't want them to, infect the community and everything else as they do, right? But I'll give you an example. So recently, Jason Keto and More is a channel that was added as a moderator to Tuber Chat. The reason why, he's always been under consideration, like a lot of other channels, right? But I don't want everybody to have to be a moderator. And it's not necessary in Tuber Chat, only because I've had moderators that have been there literally for 4 years. Almost every single one has been there for 3 or 4 years. And I understand enough to make the job easy, the job of moderating easy enough on everybody, as well as the new features that YouTube's added to keep the trolling down and stuff, that they can hopefully enjoy the streams, not really have to moderate. You know what I mean? For any links we need dropped, we can put them in Nightbot and let Nightbot do it.
Yeah.
People to drop the link to, follow me on Instagram. It's the least important part of what we're doing. It's there. It's nice to have it, but we don't want moderators like spending their day doing that. They could be making friends and working on their own channel. So that's just an idea. So Just Jason Keto and More was recently added because he was having trouble in the chat. Some channels right now are experiencing a horrible glitch where they go into a lot of channels for premieres and live streams and can't be seen. And it feels like you're banned or something like that. And it's not. It's just a YouTube thing. It's been going on for years, and it just seems to be at its height again. So we tried a handful of different things, different browsers, different phones. He's tech savvy. He knows what he's doing. I've actually met up with him in real life a couple of times. So I said, okay, I was going to probably make him a moderator at some point anyway. I'll just do it now and just leave it, because I'd been through that before. Now, I did not ask his permission to add him as a moderator. And I don't really expect any of our moderators to have to sit there and moderate or feel obligated to be in the streams every time and things like that. That's not it at all. But, I also figured if somebody doesn't want the wrench, they'll say, hey, I don't want the wrench, right? Okay, I'll just take it off. And I've seen that on other channels as well. But the way that this started so many years ago, the exact same reason was with a channel called Hilda DC, right? And I know you know her. But
Yeah, yeah.
Hilda DC was somebody who was kind of part of the community, but we didn't know each other very well yet. She was there all the time, you know, she would support. Um, but we hadn't established friendship really yet outside of just the YouTube chats, let's say. What happened was she was she was there all the time, like a great supporter. And she went through the same thing. This glitch, she couldn't get in. I tried
Mm.
putting her in the approved users list. Nothing was helping, right? So I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a wrench right now so that you can come into the chat, and then, you know, don't worry about it. And so she came in afterwards, if I remember the story right, because this is 3 years ago or
Mhm.
whatever. I said, okay, like, you seem to be doing okay in the chat. I'm going to try taking the wrench off, and
Mhm.
we'll see if you're gonna, you know, we'll see if you still have trouble. And she came back and said, "Yeah, I don't think you should take my wrench. You know, I'm always supporting, and I'm a part of this community." And I forget how she put it, but I was like, wow, I cannot believe that Hilda DC, this person, cares this much. She cares so much more than I thought. So I said, no, then absolutely, you're going to keep your wrench and you will forever after be a moderator, right? Yeah, because I just didn't know yet. I don't know how people feel about the community or myself. Every person feels differently, expresses it differently, but I just had no idea. And I know there are other people like yourself and a few other creators who I know care deeply about Tuber Chat, would probably like to be moderators and this and that. I just don't add a ton. There's a couple of other reasons for it. I'll probably add another couple in the new year. But I am always looking at, again, the statistics. How
Mhm.
many are able to show up? How much trouble are we having? Do we need another moderator? You know what I mean? Like Scott Rambling with the Brooms is a moderator on
Mhm.
Super Chat. He's a longtime friend, somebody who I just recently met up with, but he's been in the Tuber Chat family for years as well. And there was a day where Scratch and PPA was not able to be there for just a couple of streams. And I said, wow, we probably need another moderator. Who can I add that's here right now that has been with us, you know, for so long and cares and everything else? So Scott was added, you know, for that reason. And he's been, you know, it comes down also to like people supporting in the other things that I do. You know, I mean, somebody like yourself, you've been on my personal channel all this time, you know, like you've seen
Mhm.
that kind of thing and support in that way. But again, I don't want everybody bogged down with moderator duties. I would like for everybody to enjoy the streams if they can. And
Mhm.
moderating itself is really not necessary on Tuber Chat a lot of the time
I
either.
had something strange to happen to me, and I'm sure other people maybe, but someone became a member, and on the same day they became a member, they wanted the wrench.
Yeah.
I didn't know her that well.
Yeah.
I didn't. I honestly didn't know her that well, and so I just went on Instagram, and then I realized what she really wanted. She
Yeah.
really wanted some control,
Okay.
but that was the first time though. I
Yeah.
never even dreamed somebody would, say, "All right, where's my wrench?"
Yeah. You know, yeah, everything is. I tend not to be surprised by some of the stuff, even though I haven't seen quite that. We've had a
Mhm.
lot of people come in and say, like, you know, I want a wrench, I want a wrench. Not many people actually message me in the background and say, hey, can I be a moderator? I've had
Uh-huh.
a few people say, hey, if you're looking for a moderator, I'd be willing to
Mhm.
help. But it's usually
Mhm.
somebody newer that hasn't heard me say, we don't do wrenches here,
Mhm.
because that
Mhm.
used to be the thing. And with a little bit of a stern sentence when somebody comes in and says, like, hey, give me blue jacket host, give me blue shoes and everything
Yeah.
else, right? Then I'll just say, we don't do wrenches here.
Yeah.
And that's it. And people seem to get the idea. So they'll either take off to a channel where they can have a wrench because they want them everywhere, which is
Mhm.
understandable. I get it. I get why it's
Yeah.
fun. I get why we want it. But at the
Yes.
same time, you know, I'm not going to compromise Tuber Chat for any one channel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
friends for a long time, you know, not every person likes every single thing that I do, of course.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But I'm not swaying for a single opinion. You have to, in my own opinion, you have to consider where information and thoughts are coming from, and knowing that people are feeling and thinking differently about you and your channel than you probably think and feel that they are, if that makes any sense, right? We can't know what's in each other's minds and each other's hearts and everything else. But anyway, we think about moderators. Myself into I'm a lot more free with that on the other channels, the copyright free music channel, and of course my personal channel, and this and that, because it doesn't let's say matter as much. A lot of what I'm doing, it has to do with marketing and conditioning for the community, even though it may not seem like it, might even sound ridiculous the way that I'm saying. But for everybody, even so many channels that are so deserving of wrenches, I could probably put 100 mods on Tuber Chat easily and still not get to everybody who deserves it. But it's not about that. It's about understanding, no, it's equality for everybody. I'm sorry for the couple of channels that weren't there 4.5 years ago because they found us 4 years ago. but that's what led to the beginning, you know what I mean? And the moderators that we have care so much that they're there not just for Tuber Chat, but for each other. So often it just, I haven't had to add more than one a year, right? Nora's been there a couple of years now. Scott's been there a year, and just Jason Keto and more just for a month now or whatever it is. But you see what I mean? It's so slow because it's unnecessary.
And we also have the managing moderators too. Who do we make managing moderators?
Oh, I don't even know if I use the feature. I might have Scratch and PPA in there, Chris.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, if somebody like that, that's it.
It depends a little bit on what you're able to do yourself, though, too. You know what I mean? So I miss a lot that goes on in the chat, but we don't really have a lot of trouble with trolling. If we did, I would just put the time limit on so they couldn't come in. I'll just change it to a day. I'll change it to a week if I have to. Whatever it takes to keep the streams going the way they are and not have the moderators have a headache. When you get those I'd call it, I don't know, a troll train or something like that, where you get like 10 accounts all at once just hammering. We're not having that there. I'll turn it off in 2 seconds. But managing moderators, I even forget half the time that it's a feature. It's just not necessary. But if I needed it, I would just jump a couple of people up. Pardon me, in Tuber Chat itself, if somebody's a moderator, they also could have the responsibility of a managing moderator.
Oh, okay.
There's no moderator that I have that I wouldn't make a managing moderator. I just don't bother because we don't need it.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't really have that many really. So of moderators.
Oh, forgive me, because I'm missing so much that's going on in the chat. There was a question a long time ago, and I mean to keep going back to it.
Okay, no, go ahead.
And I can't remember who asked it and if they're still listening or watching, but if you wanted us to talk about StreamYard, just mention it and then we will.
Oh,
I think it was a generality, or it could have been about the accounts. You know how StreamYard just jumped the price up on everybody?
They were talking about the price. That's what it was.
So that is, in my opinion, a very shady and awful way to have done what they did. And I hope and believe that they lost more users because of that shady practice than they would have if they'd have just told everybody, hey, we're jumping a new price. Because even I accidentally paid for it for a few months before I even knew what was going on. It's on a credit card. I don't look at it, right? And then I realized after, everybody's complaining about the price. Oh, look what they did. But they made another tier so you can downgrade back to the $25, which I did. But that's a horrible way to do business. I don't think that especially with people's finances, anybody should be pulling strings. You know what I mean? And saying like, hey, I have the right now because I'm making you click and agree on a terms of service. I have the right to charge you whatever I want, and then you have to go and chase me down for a refund or to backpedal it or whatever. That I think is just terrible. Companies raise their prices over time. That's part of inflation. Not saying I agree or disagree. I think there's a lot of very highly paid people in a lot of online services that don't work as hard as they should. They wouldn't need the teams that they do to be so bloated. But that's just an opinion, and I could very well be very wrong about that. Can't be right in every case. But they have their bandwidth to think about. They have their servers to think about, their electricity to think about, and security and, every other thing. So some of the stuff, I pay for a lot of online services now out of what I believe is necessity, but I'm also happy to in a couple of cases, like I use Dropbox every day. And I make money because I use Dropbox. It makes my life a lot easier than traveling across the city handing hard drives to people. So I'm happy to pay my 10 or 12 or $15 Canadian a month, whatever it is, right? Same with iCloud. I like knowing that if I lose my phone, lose my computer, and the house burns down, I could just go buy another phone and my contacts will still be there. You know what I mean? No matter what happens, that kind of thing. But, they could have handled it better. That's just an opinion. But,
but they doubled it. They went up to 44. I'm like,
yeah,
$44. And I still miss, and I really could do StreamYard because I'm not on really that much. I really could do, but then I can't do like the backgrounds or anything.
Yeah.
Unless I do what they do.
So I haven't looked into what features are not available on the different plans yet.
Yeah, because Restream had where if you pay for the whole year, then it's $10 a month. So that's the only reason why I did it. I need to learn it. But I hope a lot of people left just to put a little sting in, into it, because that was too much money. Yeah. I know most people that do come to Tuber Chat, there are a lot of people aren't monetized. I know I wasn't monetized.
Right.
When I came, because everybody want to get, the majority of people want to get monetized, and I know that we ran each other's playlists. Gloria Platter. We ran playlists, but honestly, everybody that I generally know, even in the chat or off, is through Tuber Chat. Even Warmstrong, we worked our butts off to get together to get monetized. So Tuber Chat does work. You should be proud of yourself.
Oh, well, and thank you for saying that. Of course, I'm happy, and I'm glad that I was right, that this would have worked out. It's changed the tiniest bits over the years. I've experimented with a couple things, made a couple mistakes as well, but overall, I'm just glad that there's the happiness knowing that there really is that many generous people out there. Like I said, because we can all not just use our YouTube channels, but, basically leverage these audiences, our communities, our families now for other things. You know what I mean? Where we can, and that was the whole idea. Like I said, Tuber Chat's just an engine. We can start as many channels as we want and make them go fast. But I hope that everybody would make, if it's monetization on their mind, as much as they want. There's lots of other things besides YouTube. You could be an author, write a book, you build your audience on YouTube and then sell them a book 4 years from now, right? Make your million. That's great. I would love for anybody to do that. And, we're lucky. I'm as lucky as everybody to be able to have a community like this. And I'm just happy to keep doing it. When we're not there for 3 days, I get upset and I miss it and everybody in our chats and things like that. I keep thinking to myself, maybe I want to do more StreamYard panels like this. I thought about doing something on my own channel, whether it's once a month or once a week or whatever it's going to be, where a lot of us can just hang out. The only things that stop me, I probably overthink things too much, but one of the biggest lessons I've learned in my YouTube journey, especially through Tuber Chat, is that exclusion is a big problem. What happens is, so let's say you do a StreamYard panel, and for any reason at all, there's somebody who you don't want on there, right? How are you going to be able to let 9 people on your stream and not let them? You know what I mean? We all know how StreamYard works. You have another slot, you can add a ninth person. If you don't have a 10th person, why would you say no? And this is how you can get a lot of aggravation. I'm not saying that's a real thing because I haven't done it. I'm just imagining.
I know what you're saying.
And say, yeah,
yeah, everybody's different. I wouldn't want 9 or 10 people on anyway, but but I know what you're saying. How you're gonna say no if
I've lost a couple of friends because of exclusion. You know what I mean? Somebody one of the biggest moments that made my heart drop was somebody pointed out a long time ago. We have a few moderators. One is very well known in the UK, Sam's Vlogs, Trains and More. And while our friendship was developing, in the first year of Tuber Chat, Kristen and I did something. She did a video that was like a happy birthday and got a bunch of people to make clips and say happy birthday to me. And that was really cool. It was a wonderful video, and I teared up like anybody would. And I did the same for her after. And I was talking to another friend about it. And I said, we have to do these things fast. Not everybody's available.
Yeah,
and,
I know what
you're not going to remember to ask everybody. And then they said, well, why didn't you ask Sam? And I'm like, oh, from the time I started the idea to the time the video came out, Sam and I had developed more of a friendship than before. So I didn't consider asking him in the beginning. But if I was to have started over just a few months later, yeah, I would have, you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, wow. Now, I don't think he was upset about it. I don't even think he noticed. But, you hate the idea. And I know that I have lost friends. I got a couple people who now, today, were always supportive to Tuber Chat. They will always say hello when I run into them in other chats, but they will never, ever, ever come back to Tuber Chat. And I am convinced that the reason is because they weren't asked to be in those couple of videos. So the problem is, who cares about one video? It was 4 years ago. Nobody even remembers we did it. But people don't forget not being asked. Hey, I felt like I was a part of your family, and you just clearly made sure that I know that I'm not. Because those 10 people are. They're your friends. I'm just a viewer. That's what I imagine. I'm not saying I'm right. And so I don't want anybody to feel that way. You know what I mean? It's what a horrible, heartbreaking thing to know that somebody could possibly feel that, and it's from exclusion, a very different word than the opposite of inclusion. But
and not intentional though, because even like my song at the beginning has certain names in it. It don't have everybody. It don't even have Eerie Frog, and he's one of my bit. So I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, are they really still a friend? Truly, you know what I mean? Truly, then they're an associate and not a friend.
It seems that it could seem that way, but again, you never know how somebody feels about you. So we have a friendship, you know what I mean? And you imagine, okay, I care about this person this much or this, whatever it is. And they probably care about me this much too. But that may not be true. You know what I mean? It may not be the same way. They may not look at it the same way.
I know.
And we just never know. It doesn't matter. What we're talking about is something, like this is too broad a subject to even be able to narrow down or anything like that. I just hate the idea of somebody not feeling appreciated.
I know what you're saying.
As much as I truly appreciate them, because we think about each other. You know what I mean? All of us do when we're not there. It doesn't matter what the thought is. Somebody could be like, oh, I like Kevin's channel. I wish he'd stop talking all the time. But who knows, right? The different things that people say.
But that remind me of something, though. Yeah. The guy that did my dog for 15 years, I felt like he was family to me.
Yeah.
And come to find out, I was just, his client.
Oh,
and I cried my heart out.
Oh, yeah.
Why are you crying? I'm like, because I thought he felt it too.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So I can. When I really thought of 15 years, I'm thinking I'm family. I found out I was family in the end.
I used to get very upset about losing friends because we go through life changes, right? And a lot of friends are usually where you work if you're working or if you're in groups or clubs or any social circle of any kind. And what happens is I remember working in nightclubs, and when I left the last nightclub, I was like, wow, I'm going to have to go and find some new friends because I'm just not going to talk to these people anymore. Not that I don't want to, but we're not gonna. I'm going to call them on the weekend. They're all going to go and work at other nightclubs. I'm not going to be able to go. I'm doing something, and you lose touch, right? I used to get very, very, very upset about that. Then I started to realize, and I was 10 or 20 years ago, whatever, that you always end up making new friends anyway. They're still your friends. You just don't talk every day. You don't, you go through your list of best friends that you've had in your life, and they change over time. You know what I mean? You're just some people you see every day. Now you don't see them every day and this and that. But there's always more around the corner as well. And that probably led to some of the mentality that comes into the YouTube channels here. The idea, I know there are generous, good people out there if we could just find each other. And if all I can do is find one or two and they each find one or two, we go to infinity. Yeah. So, and that's what's happening, right?
Yeah, but I think even of Crystal Sparkle, I told her about you, and I was like, one day I was like, there she is. You know, so that's how it, it kind of starts. But one more thing I want to talk about before and I'm gonna let you go, is shorts. Yeah. YouTube way is the shorts now. So I think still long form will be here forever, though. What you think?
Yeah, absolutely. YouTube's too established. They're the king, right? So right behind Google for the number 2 search engine in the world, even though Google owns it. But YouTube is where people go to have questions answered. Sometimes they come for entertainment and things like that. But if you have a toilet leaking, like we got a problem with this right now, how do you fix that if you don't do it for a living? Well, you have to go and watch a YouTube video today. That's the way the world works. And you're probably going to watch 3 of them because you want to see what one person missed, what one person thought of that the other person didn't think of, 2 different ways of doing it by 3, that kind of thing. Every do-it-yourself video that I watch 3 of, right? And I'm sure we all do it. So long-form content as well, in my opinion, drives the channel. I know it's possible to have a live stream only channel, or it's possible to have a shorts channel, but for everything that I touch, and 99% of what I see or more, videos are what drives the channel. Live streams are what brings in the monetization more than anything. And then shorts can give a pump to subscribers if somebody is excited about shorts. You know what I mean? I don't really feel any way about them myself personally. I don't love them. I don't hate them. I don't care enough. And the problem is then I'm not doing them. So I can't expect to be successful with them. I know we all hope we're going to do a short. It's going to get 500,000 views and we're going to get like $100 and this thing. But I don't know how often that's going to happen. It's usually a surprise, for any video at all. So shorts, we agreed to play in the arena of YouTube. So when things come up that we either don't like or aren't crazy about, we have to understand, hey, but you got to get on board. You know what I mean? The train is going this way and you got to go this way if you want all the benefit. So if somebody was to come to me today, first of all, and say, I'm thinking about a YouTube channel, the first thing I would say is, okay, forget the YouTube channel itself, become a content creator and put your content on all platforms. But if you can, you must either film with 2 cameras at the same time, one vertical, one horizontal, or you have to film in a way like you see, if I lean back from the camera here, I could probably cut a short out of this, right? You have to have that in your mind because you have to be on TikTok, you have to be on Snapchat, you have to be on Pinterest. LinkedIn is a good idea. Twitch, Trovo, GLab, like there's a million, right? We could go through a list of 20 or 30 social networks that are all very important, let's just say, right? So shorts is a part of that. They're aggressively going after people. They got these new ways to monetize. They've made it more confusing than anything I've seen in the history of YouTube, but that's the arena we've agreed to play in. So if we want to use this and God forbid, to make money or have monetization, the best idea is to play the game the way that they want it played so that you got the referees in your corner kind of thing. Not always, but you have the best chance, let's just say. And not everything's going to be appropriate for everybody. You know, Tuber Chat, I could do shorts. I hope to do videos. I've been barking up that tree for 4 years
Mhm.
now, but you know, we haven't done it yet. It's videos that drive the channel. Tuber Chat doesn't get any live stream replays.
Mhm.
Most people that I see don't get very many
Yeah.
live stream
Yeah.
replays. We wish that people would watch, but I don't
Mhm.
know how much people are watching. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't want to discourage anybody, but it's true. How many people are going to watch you and I talk for an hour and a half?
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
might. You know, I'm hoping that we can say a
Mhm.
few things
They'll
that
come
are valuable,
through. They'll come through on mine after,
but
you
I
know.
won't expect it to get 8,000 views.
No.
You know what I mean? I'll expect it to maybe double. Whatever we have,
Yeah.
like when we're finished right now, it might
Yeah.
double, might
Yeah.
get another
It
view for a
does.
little while. But you
Mhm.
think back to even on the Tuber Chat channel, I've done a few interviews over there now, and you would think that those videos would do well enough because they're informative. No, because they're live stream replays. You know what I mean? Or because they're lengthy is what I meant to say, because
Mhm.
they're lengthy, right? So
Mhm.
these are just ideas. I'm not saying I'm right,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But the how-to, I can say I try to look for the shortest.
Oh, really? Yeah. No, it's
Yeah, I
interesting
do.
for me to hear you
I
say
try to
that.
look at the shortest. 4
Yeah.
minutes, 3 minutes. Anybody got 2 minutes?
Yeah. I understand. I understand.
I
I would do the same if it was something simple, like a leaky toilet. Yes, I just want the meat and potatoes. Just tell me how it's done. But we can learn from that as well. If you think about the videos you watch and the ones that you enjoy, it doesn't have to be for entertainment. Then you can do better in your own videos. Like for instance, I started taking myself out of my do-it-yourself videos last year,
okay.
and they have done better. But
Okay.
I've also, it is meat and potatoes only. I literally had somebody comment on a I don't know if it was a speaker review or something like that. And they said, look at that all in one shot. You got the thing open, set it up, used it. This is one of the best unboxing videos I've seen. And that's a real compliment on the whole
Yeah.
platform of YouTube from anybody at all.
Uh-huh.
But I know that the reason is because I'm not talking the way that I do on Tuber Chat, the way that I am here. It's like
Mhm.
I know what you want to see. And I was right about that 7 years ago when I started. When we started filming our construction work, I said
Mhm.
people want to see the steps. They don't
Mhm.
have to watch you push a machine around for half an hour. They just need to see you start it, run it for 7 seconds, on to the next step. Same
Mhm.
as cooking videos, recipes, and
Mhm.
other evergreen content. They want the steps, or they want the entertainment of seeing what you're doing. If somebody wants to see a lottery ticket scratched, they don't want to see you scratch the first couple things and then get to the end. No, they want to watch you scratch the whole ticket, right? So there's different kinds of content, different ideas, but these are things we can think about when we watch other people's videos. You don't have to feel like you enjoy it, but if you find yourself watching a video for 6 or 7 minutes, there's something there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Most of us
Mhm.
don't have an attention span, it seems,
Mhm.
anymore to be able to
Yeah.
last 6 or 7 minutes paying attention to something.
Ah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, I do know what you mean. And the ones in the chat and the ones that come by later on is, even though and I like to say this, even though your channel is small, YouTube is still watching. They're
Yeah.
still watching you. You might not be in the algorithm or whatever, but they
Yep.
still are. And I try to tell everybody, they still are watching you behind the scenes.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
you'll be amazed what they'll do for you too. So,
That's true. Yeah.
yeah, to continue on. And that's what I try to tell people. And then Thursday would be 365 days I've done short straight.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. But you
300.
also have done really well. And I know you hear me talk about this when your
Yeah.
channel's up on Tuber Chat. It is not common, pardon me, to see
Talking
a
head.
creator make shorts in just a talking head video, looking the same way we look right now, and have those go to 10,000,
Yeah.
many of them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's great. You've really established something unique over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I found out too, even from when I was a doula working with pregnant women, I just say when you're good, you know when you're good at something. You
Mhm.
know it. You
Yep.
know what I mean? I know that I'm good at shorts. Vlogs, I would love to be.
Yeah.
But yeah. But
Well, we've talked about that too, but
I
some of that
know.
just comes down to refinement. YouTube gives us a bit of tool, like a few tools in the background where we can look at a video and see where people are leaving. If you
Yeah.
listen to the biggest YouTubers like Sean Cannell, Sonny Lenarduzzi, Roberto Blake, and these guys, they talk about that. They're like, it can come down to one word. I'm Canadian. I might say a lot. Those are authentic,
Mhm.
but somebody may not like that. I don't like this A. Who knows, right? Anything. We all have our mannerisms, we all have our demeanor, and it's probably never going to go away. Even if you watch yourself back and you say, like, oh, I notice I do this thing all the time. How can I stop doing that? You may not be able to. Let's just say you could try, right?
Mhm.
Anybody could try. It will help if something's truly detrimental, but we don't know why people leave. I tend to be sarcastic. I try not to do it in tuber chat, but I love sarcasm as much as everybody. My friends and I are really hard on each other. We are the kind of friends that often after a conversation will say, well, I probably shouldn't have said that. Even to somebody I've known for 20 years, because we are hard on each other. But you can't do that. You know what I mean? A lot of people would be turned off from that right
Mhm.
away. This is why, like, a lot of times, you'll hear me talk about the idea of cursing and this and that.
Mhm.
Not the end of the
Yeah.
world for somebody to do it. If that's the presentation that you want to put
Mhm.
forth, that's fine. And there are viewers specifically for that. They won't watch somebody like me
Mhm.
because they want, a little more, I don't know, authentic or, rough around the edges, if we want to put it that
Mhm.
way, something like that. But we can think about it, but YouTube gives us tools. So when you talk about being a better vlogger, let's just say that could be all it comes down to.
Yeah.
Or if you can find friends that have the ability, because it's really tough, but to be able to tell you the truth about what they think
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
say, hey, listen, there's rules we can learn from TV and movies. It's hard when you're live streaming, but if you remember that in television and movies, they are almost changing the scene every 7 seconds. If you keep that in mind, you can say to
Yeah.
yourself, okay, I'm going to try to cut my
Mhm.
videos into
Every
7 seconds. Even
Yeah.
the people who do the ones where they're still talking, they'll zoom in, they'll zoom
Yeah.
out,
Out.
but they do it every 7 seconds or so. In
Mhm.
a movie or television, it might build suspense to do a segment that actually goes on for 2 minutes, but that's rare. And you'll see what I mean now that I've mentioned it if you haven't thought of it before.
Yeah. Yeah.
But these are
Yeah.
ideas. The only other thing that you don't want to do, now that I've said that, is cut parts of your video just because I said it should be 7
Mhm.
seconds. No, that's
Mhm.
not
I
true.
know what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah,
I get
if it
it. What
takes
you mean.
15 seconds to say something,
Yeah.
then it does, but
Mhm.
letting something roll on, my friend on one of the channels I run, he does flight videos.
Mhm.
If somebody's watching the vlogging part of the video where they're going to a restaurant, they're walking through the terminal, they're stopping at a gift shop, I don't know if they're going to watch the 35-minute part of just the flight out the window
Mhm.
and then get back to vlogging
Yeah.
again. But, you have to try a couple things to see if that's the case. Otherwise, people just want the meat and potatoes, right?
Yeah. Well, you know what? We're going to get ready to wrap this up, but I want to say now you're up to 3 hours on
Yeah.
Tuba Chat.
Yeah,
You done found a way to kind of save your voice. Is 3 hours going to be the limit?
probably.
Oh,
Yeah. Probably. But
not because I wanted to. I just think you're going to have a point where you just, you know.
Well, I've slowed it down a little bit too. You notice that it's not overwhelming. So the problem is, like,
Mhm.
you could expand it and say, I want as many people there every day as possible to go as long as it can to make the most money possible. But that will be detrimental to what we're doing. You know what I mean? The focus is the quality, not the quantity in any way, shape, or form, whether it's time or anything else, right? So it will probably stay pretty much the way it is. But I get so mad because the truth is we lose momentum if we're off, right? So if I lose my voice and can't be on for 2 weeks,
Mhm.
everything goes down. The memberships go down, the audience goes down, everything. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And it takes a while to get it back up. Now I got to work harder and spend more time and do more promotion and everything else, right? So try to have balance. So 3 hours
Yeah.
seems to be the mark. And then what I try to do is go live, let's say every 3 days, so I can still be telling the truth when I say we're there 3 times a week, 1 week might be Sunday, Wednesday, and Saturday. It's still true. We were there 3 times a week, but if you work it out over the month, it's not exactly, maybe 12 streams a month or 15 streams a month or whatever,
Yeah, I'm one of those ones too with the membership. I always tell people don't have to do anything for me at all, nothing. And everybody don't feel that way. And I said that I don't have that memberships because that's the way I feel. So, I can't go out and get a whole, because some people do, they don't have, they'll jump around a little bit to, to others, because that's what they do. But I tend to not, and just, stick. And if you ever lose me, that means I ain't got no money.
We have to do whatever we think is right for our channel and our audience. For me, the speech, the way that I do it happens to work. But there are other channels out there that just beg and demand, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what works, then they hit their goals. You know what I mean? Hey, if you guys don't super chat me right now, I'm shutting the stream off, and then somebody will super chat. Hey, that's great. Hold it hostage. If whatever it takes to get what you want out of YouTube, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because different people are attracted to different things too. You know what I mean? So we're lucky if we can say, you don't have to do it, but I appreciate it. But the way that I think about memberships myself personally, so I have a membership on all of my moderators' channels. My anticipation, I expect that those will be permanent. You know what I mean? I will never stop those memberships. So I'm considerate about the idea. Like, so if each, moderator is somewhere around a $5 level, if they have them, something like that. Nobody has an unlimited budget, but therefore I've planned for that in advance and said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And it doesn't matter to me, their perks, the emojis or anything else. Right? I just want to support them in that way so that I know that every single month they're getting at least this tiny bit and the membership. You know what I mean? It's not about me being in somebody like, let's say, Scratch and Pete PA's premieres and showing everybody, oh, look at my badge, I care about Pete. It's not that. It's to show people that don't know me. Oh, look at this person who cares so much that they got this membership and the badge is a certain color. I want to get a membership too. There are people out there who will support us in ways that we can't even think about, right? So in my opinion, it's best for every channel that wants to be monetized to allow it, right? To let everybody support you in that way. I got somebody on my personal channel right now. I barely stream. They haven't been there, and I think it's 8 months. But they have a membership and they just keep going. And people have done that in Tuber Chat as well, where they keep a membership going for months and months and months, just because they either like what I'm doing or we're doing, and they just want to. They're like, this is a person doing something that I think is of value. Here's the $10 a month or $15 a month or whatever it is Canadian. And they're happy to do it the same as I am happy and lucky enough to be able to do it sometimes. Nobody has an unlimited budget. You know what I mean? But my moderators will never have to worry like, oh, is Kevin going to cut me off? Because I thought about it first. Am I going to be able to do this?
Yeah, and that's what I do. I tend to, and somebody even paid for my Canva. I never paid for Canva either.
Oh yeah.
I was on a live one day and I was talking about, I'm thinking about, and then they came to my Instagram. You want? And they have paid for it for years. Yeah. And I was like, and sometimes I will ask them, do you want me to pay for it this year?
Yeah.
Because I mean, of course they're gonna say no, but you still should offer something.
I'll show you an example. So not that everybody needs to do what I'm talking about, just an example of thinking about it. I got a friend on YouTube that has helped so much. And I will forever after make so much money, not a fortune, but like, I'll make enough money that to give them their membership fee every month for 10 years will be 10 times less than the money I'm going to make from the information they've given me and helped me with and, truly caring and stuff. So that's a way to think about it. It's almost like an investment. You know what I mean? They've done so much for me already that I can afford their membership for 10 years now because of them. If it wasn't for what they said, I may never have learned it or been explained to in that way. A lot of times we hear the same things over and over and over again. I wish I bought Bitcoin 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
But someday somebody strikes the right chord. Now you're in. You know what I mean? And you say like, oh, well, I'm glad I did it today, not 10 years from now, right? These kind of things.
That's true. But again, I thank everybody so much. Kevin, thank you so much for coming today and being here with me. And like I said, I've done over 300. Like this one, I was nervous on Pete. I was nervous.
There's no way. There's
no
way. We've known each other a long time. I'm glad you asked. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be able to just blabber on about things more than I do when we're in Tuber chat. So I appreciate the conversation. But Betty, you've been a great friend for a long time. We've had a few conversations outside of YouTube as well, and I appreciate that as well. So thank you everybody as well for watching in the chat and hanging out. I know I haven't been interacting as much as I sometimes do, but I do appreciate everybody hanging out and listening for sure.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. I'm not going to do an outro, y'all, but thank y'all so much for coming. Thank you. Don't you hit that button, Kevin.
Okay, thanks, Betty.